Uses of template in Qt6. Some of the complexities when it comes to templated classes is, well, you guessed it, Qt, so you can make a class and make a template, and we're going to show you what happens if you try to do QObjects. So I'm going to right-click this project, and let's call this class. Let's call this test. Make sure it is a QObject, so it's going to include QObject and add the QObject macro in there. And let's just go ahead and add this into our project. Very simple, very easy. We just simply have our QObject in here. Now we're going to turn this into a template class, some type of keyword. And this is a little bit misleading. I know this isn't going to work and I know why, but unfortunately, it takes a little bit of explanation. So we have a template. We're going to say class with a T. Now we need a templated function. So I'm just going to say tadd, and we're going to make this function used to call this value 1, t, value 2. Let's just go ahead and implement this right here in the header. I'm going to return plus value 2 and add in our semicolon there. So nice, neat, all right, on one line, beautiful templated class. Everything looks like it's going to work until we go to build, and then, oh, template class is not supported by QObject. That is frustrating. So if you really examine this macro, you can just see they are blocking this. They will not allow you to use templates with QObjects because it becomes an absolute train wreck to figure out what's going on. That is frustrating, but it is for a reason. Objects very complex, and you don't want to start playing around with it because, as we've seen, it can have disastrous consequences, and templates by their very nature are very fragile. And we want QObjects to be very secure and very hard to break. So to fix this problem, it's actually ridiculously simple. You just simply don't use QObject. That's right. So we can just strip this out, and we're just going to do a little bit of surgery here to strip out all the cute stuff in here and turn this into a normal C++ class. It's really not that hard. Now we just have a basic C++ class. I've still got this implementation file, so I can go into CLiz. Go ahead and go in here, get rid of that. It's still out on the hard drive, so I'm going to flip over into the file system, and let's go ahead and get rid of that and remove. And let's flip back into our project and make sure that everything is beautiful and the way we want it. Now, if I go to give it a nice little build, it just builds perfectly. So, yes, you can absolutely do this with C++ classes. The complexity comes in if you try to do it with a QObject, simply can't do it. Let's go and work with this class here. Somerset include, and we like test storage. Now I'm going to say, and because this is a class we have to, so we call it in Keltec, and then uinfo. Notice how when I do this, the definition of that function now knows the type. So what it's done is it's gone in the background and it said, okay, so we're going to use this class, this template, a class, give it this type. And now every time I use that type name, it's going to replace it in the code that is extremely powerful. And also, yes, as we've stated before, very error prone. All right, so we can just do 1 and 4. And let's see that in action. There we go. Very, very cool. And of course, we can just take this and use this with different data types. So I'm going to do this again, but I'm to do this with a double. Let's call this dequel. Analysts say this is 6.09, and let's do a 3 or just because. Why not? And then we have 913. And this actually can do some pretty cool and unexpected things. So, for example, we could, instead of our deck out there, let's grab this and let's use QString. So we can work with a Qt class inside of a template, and let's call this as calc. Hello? And let's go ahead and make another one. Notice, this just works. This is extremely cool. And it's converted it all into one shoestring, hello world. That is extremely powerful. Major takeaway here is you cannot use QObject with templates. You have to have a C++ standard class, or it just simply won't work. And when you use it, you have to use the class and give it a type from there. Remember, anything in these brackets, it's going to go in and it's going to replace right here. And then anytime you see this type name, it's going to replace it with whatever data type you gave it. Let's see how template can be used with QObject. Okay, so templates and QObjects, you can do it. It's just a little bit more challenging. We want to cover this because, well, objects cannot be copied. QObjects cannot be copied, recovered. Those just kind of pound that into your head. Instead, we have to use pointers. Special note, Qt template classes are not inheriting. You object. For example, coulisses, which we touch on briefly in this course and really deep dive into in the intermediate and advanced course. Whenever you see a template class in Qt, it's not inheriting QObject. We have this very simple template function called display, which is going to take a class type T and it's going to just throw it out. We can, from that, you guessed it, do a whole host of things very, very quickly. So I'm going to just say display and explain, and we're going to display the number 4. And this just works. It's extremely powerful, extremely easy, and it works. All right, so I'm just going to very quickly whip through and we're going to do some different data types here. So, for example, let's go ahead and do a double, and let's call this 3.14. It's going to do a Q string, and it may be going. Wait a minute, I thought you said that Q objects cannot be copied. That's right. Q string does not inherit Q object, which is why we can do something like this. Maybe if I could actually tape it, there we go. Sometimes I get a little faster than I want to. So this all works. This works as expected. Now, I highly suspect clustering is not inherent in QObject simply because we do want to be able to copy that at will. Now, watch what happens if I do something like this. So we're just going to make a QObject and then we're going to go ahead and try to display it. Notice what happens right off the bat here. Invalid operands, the binary expression kitBag, an object called deleted constructor. Yes, this is what we've talked about before. We cannot copy that object, so what we have to do instead is either pass a pointer or pass an address to it, and now notice how we have to do something here as well. Just tell it, hey, we're going to go ahead and use a pointer now, suddenly it works. There you go. You object at that address, so major takeaway here is that templates are very powerful, very error prone, and if you're going to work with QObjects and templates, you have to remember, never try to copy the object. And objects themselves cannot be templated classes. Thank you guys for watching the video. Next video will be on Q inbuilt class tutorial. Please like, share, and subscribe the channel for more such tutorial in future.